Alicia, I have a question for you. What does it take to be trauma informed? What does that mean?
Wow, that's a big question. For me, trauma informed means that you start from a place where you know how trauma disrupts our ability to be connected socially. If we don't have an ability to be connected socially, that means we don't see the safe possibility of a social connection. We don't understand. There's a biological interruption of our ability to be connected socially. Our bodies become so entrenched in habits and fear responses that we don't see the safe opportunities. We don't know how to connect to the safe opportunities. That completely disrupts our ability to be effective everywhere in life. And I think that there's a parallel between trauma disruption of our social ability and racism, sexism, homophobia, transphobia, all those things. It becomes clear that, oh, there's a connection. Those ways of experiencing discrimination cut us off from our social connection, cut us off from our safety.
Race is so complicated and so huge. On one level, we're talking about systems and policies that dictate our lives that are sort of invisible, but then we also have to think about what we know, what knowledge we carry, what education we have been afforded or not around race, right? And then our biases and all those like actual triggers. And that's where I'm really thrilled about this conversation, because we'll be able to unpack race in safe containers with lots of different thought leaders. This is why I'm glad that we're partnering together, because one of the principles that I hold really strongly in my training and in my work is that we have to talk about it, right? Like we have to figure out how to talk about our identity, and we have to figure out our relationship to it. And everyone has to then acknowledge whatever our relationship to our identity is. It may not be what someone else's relationship to our identity is. And that's cultural humility work. And so what I'm hoping in this partnership, that we're joining in for, that we're able to provide a safe container. Right? That people can explore their identity. They can watch other people explore. We're not going to ask everybody to sign up with their identities, but we are going to ask people to reflect in their seats what messages they've internalized about their identity. That's really, really important. And that, the part of the title of our gathering is collective healing. So we hope that we can hold a container where people can heal together. I think that the work that we have to do is to understand our identity and understand where that has come from. Because a lot of these identities we're talking about right now are social identities that change. They change across geography, they change across time, right? So that these things have meaning, and they're related to policies and structure and systemic issues. So I think that's where the feeling of needing to hold it so close comes from, is that there's quote unquote trauma attached, right? There's stories attached. There's unknowns attached. People have been adopted. People have been taken from their homes, right? Identity's been erased or beaten out of communities and cultures for generations. So
multiple generations, centuries even. These identities, we can have a personal value for them, but there are ways that there are social hierarchies stacked with identities, and there are values assigned to identities, intelligences, preconceived notions about who you are and what that identity means. They have to do with the dominance of nations. They have to do with the dominance of gender. We hold them, we internalize them. Sometimes we value them and they help us to value ourselves. And sometimes there are ways that we devalue ourselves. Identity is such a loaded thing. Holy cow, it's huge. And yet, whether we know it or not, we're carrying these things around with us, and they are part of every conversation we have. It's just, how do we hold ourselves in this conversation?
Yeah, this is the big conversation that we intend to have.
Man, it's a big one.
Well, I'm honored to be doing it with you, and I look forward to our journey. So
I'm honored to have you as my companion on this journey. Thank you.
All right. We'll see you soon.